guys, Fat Man's back. Just for you. Working on part 2 of my Haversack. This will be the back, so that this will, let's get this in the camera. So when I get the front, the curled up part is going to go to the bottom. That'll work its way out eventually. I'm not going to try to fight it out right now because it just doesn't make that much difference. It'll work its way out and be fine. I'm a little bit off here, over here. But that's okay, because when I put the two pieces together, you'll never notice that 1/8 of an inch. No, it's not even that. Well, maybe 1/8 of an inch altogether. So then the flap will come over. I will have a toggle. I might just, trim these down. I haven't decided exactly how I'm going to do the front flap. The nice thing about the oil tan is you don't necessarily have to finish the edges. I'll do something on them, but I'll probably just wax them because it really doesn't take that much. And I'll do that after I'm done. So what I need to do is down on the bottom, on my other Haversack, I rounded the corners just a little bit. So what I'm going to do, I don't want a lot, so this is probably about 1.5 inches. And I'm just going to line it up, kiss the edges. I'm just going to take a little, see that there? I'm just going to take these corners off. And I'm only going to do that on the bottom. So, and I'll do that on the front and the back. I don't know that rounding off the corners is a real big deal. I like to do it. It's a little more aesthetically pleasing, I guess you'd say. It looks good on the finished product. So, I did notice my X-Acto knife blade is pretty dull. I don't ever throw those right away. I hang on to them for a minute. Looks like I'm going to have to get some more blades too. This is my last one. I like the X-Actos because that point makes it easy to cut the curves. Other than that, it doesn't really matter what I use. You wanna always try to make sure that you're holding your blade straight, not at an angle, canted or anything. Or if you got it twisted, you're gonna make a goofy cut too. So when you're cutting, you want to keep your knife straight and follow around. And you see how I was moving my whole arm through that, and that is to keep my blade perpendicular to the material. And that way you keep a nice edge. If you were to angle it, you'd wind up with an angle on your leather, and not necessarily what you want to do. So I'm just going to finish these. I've never tried to rush. I do everything on a budget, but when you try to rush, that's when things tend to get screwed up. Move a little. And, if you want everything to always be nice, you got to make some exceptions. And that's one of them. You just take your time. There's machines that can do all of this for you, but why? I don't need a machine to do the work for me. So, I'm going to put this back together. I try square. I take it apart because this ruler is really, it's a good sturdy ruler. Got a nick in that, or a ding in it. using it. So, if you're, just so that nobody needs to ask, I used 3 pieces for this. Let me zoom this back out. Other way. Okay. I used 3 pieces when I made this, only because I couldn't get one long piece. So you don't have to use 3 pieces. I only did it for that one reason. Now, what I didn't do is put in a center line. So, I'm going to do that now. And this piece is 10.5 inches. So I'm going to put a center mark at 5 1/4. I'm using red pen so that y'all can see it. There's my mark at 5 1/4. I'm going to make one on the other side too, at the same spot. And it's just a little mark. Just a little teeny mark. Doesn't have to be anything big. So on the front and the back, we'll measure 10. Turn our ruler around so I can actually get somewhere near it. That's my 10. And I just want to get close. I don't have to be spot on, perfect at 5 inches. But I want to be close. Alright. So, I'm only going to work with one piece here at a time. I'm going to start with the back. It gets harder and harder to work with the more pieces come together. So, here we go. I'm going to transfer this to the side too. Remember, you're not going to see any of this, so it really doesn't make that much difference. These marks are all on the inside. The only one you'll see is these couple of marks. I'm not too worried about it. They'll come out soon enough. So I line up my 2 marks in the center. I'm going to clamp it. I'm going to clamp again. Before I come around the bend, I'm going to clamp again. Now, I'm going to go across the rest of the way here too. Alright, so the bottom is clamped. When you get to these spots where the seams are going to be, you're going to have to be a little bit creative. To do it in a 90 degree is a lot easier when you have a corner like this, but I'm not doing it that way. I don't feel like it. I'm not feeling it, man. So I'll be able to stitch. This is where I'm going to do the bottom, and then as I go, somebody's got to bother me. As I go, I'm going to just mark one hole. I'll be doing one hole at a time until I get around the corner. And that's really the only way you can do it. Just one at a time. The thing doesn't have to be watertight, so if there's a little hole in the corner, it's fine. I'm going to go ahead and get the bottom marked with my holes. I'm going to start stitching. I'm going to start my stitching in the center, and I'm going to work my way up the side, and again up the other side. I'll overlap a couple of stitches each way, so it won't be, my furnace is starting now. I was trying to do this between furnace runs. But I'll be back in a couple of minutes after I get some holes made. Hey guys, sorry the furnace is still running. Still a little chilly out here. Pulled off my thread. What I pulled off is I pulled off a piece from here all the way to the end of here, and I tripled it. And that should give me enough thread to make my stitches all the way up the side, on one side. That's my hope, because you hate running out. So I'm going to start, I'm going to go 2 spots past my center line. Because like I said, I'm going to overlap a couple each way. So we'll go through, and we're just going to pull everything kind of even. And there we go. And then it's just like any other time you're doing a saddle stitch. Come on, pull through. I hope everybody gets a chance to check out those stitching videos I referenced. Nigel Armitage covers it really, really well, and all the way down to what type of needle you want. I'm not using what he recommends, mostly because, I don't know, I can get these cheap at Hobby Lobby, and it's just quick and easy. To get the, I think they're an Osborne needle. They're a little more expensive, and I got to order them online. Now, I'm coming through from this side, and then I pull my thread back, and then I come through the other side with the other needle. And I'm going to make a project out of a stitching pony one of these days, because then maybe this weekend while I've got some time off. Okay, so now the same one that I just went through with goes back through from this side. And this is one of those things that I think it makes it more attractive. If you're using a pricking iron that I don't have, I guess they call this a pricking iron too, but I don't have the nice angled ones. And then I go, when I pull that back, I put the needle through on this side of the thread, pull it through, and you pull your needle off the thread even. There's a way to lock your needle onto your thread. I don't really care about that. This works fine for me. But you got to remember too, I'm one of those guys that actually knows what darning socks is. I was taught how to do it. My grandmother taught me how to darn socks. So there's another prepper skill for you, along with sewing. Everybody should know how to sew. I know they teach a lot of the younger kids how to, the basics of how to sew, and boys and girls. And most of them don't really care, because they don't think they'll ever need that skill. Well, my mom was a seamstress, so needless to say, I learned a lot of these skills, whether I wanted to or not, just because Mom was there. Mom was doing it at home. So, I should say she was a part-time seamstress. She did some machine embroidery too. So for a while I had my name on absolutely every piece of clothing I owned, which kind of drove me a little crazy. But hey, it is what it is. It was Mom. She loved us. That was really all that mattered. But I think when you do your stitch this way, it looks more attractive. So I am just going to continue till I get to that corner. And when I get there, I'll turn you back on.